Hey there, everyone. How's it going? Hey, I've got the music on kind of loud. Let's drop that down a little bit, shall we? There we go. That a little bit better? I say as there's not really anyone in the room, but that's okay. How's it going, everyone? I am Tony Troxel. I am occasionally known online as Geek Building, at least on Twitter. And recently I've been posting up pictures in a work in progress of a 3D printed file set that I've been working on. It's known as the Q Pack. It is it's essentially a Proton Pack kit that you can 3D print. And little background, I have built these before back in 2002, I think it was. I was introduced to Sean Bishop when I was living out in California. Some of you may know him as Vickman71. And I was gifted a set of his resin pack pieces. And this was at a point that I was also working with somebody running fiberglass. We were doing pieces for Terminator endoskeletons, long clear top alien xenomorph heads from the original Alien, stuff like that. And so we got talking about resin is heavy, fiberglass is lighter. Why don't we just do a fiberglass shell? And so we started working on the fiberglass shells, and I had a pack using one of those shells that it's now, who knows if I'm ever going to get it back. We'll leave it at that. And so ever since I got a 3D printer, I've kind of been looking around to see if there's any, Proton Pack files that are really good. I've tried a couple of them off of Thingiverse or My Mini Factory, and the size of the parts I printed out was comparable to the Spirit Pack. In fact, some of them made the Spirit Pack parts look big. And, since I had worked with pieces from somebody that had owned a screen-used Proton Pack, I knew these were too small, and I just pitched them after the first print and didn't think too much about it. Fast forward into a few months ago, and I found the 3D printed Ghostbusters Proton Pack, or whatever, I can't remember the entire name, the 3D printed group. Probably what's on the top of the page there, 3D printed Ghostbusters props. And the Quentin pack there looked pretty good. So I went ahead and I bought what you see on the table before you, which is part 1 and part 2 of his pack plans. You can buy those on Etsy. I think it's like $12-13 for both the shell and the wand, and it's a really good way to support the creator of the files, who's still working on updating them, making pieces for the video game pack, so on and so forth. So I went ahead, picked that up, downloaded all the free files off of GitHub. I believe it was his Mark 2.1 at the time. And I went ahead and started following the information and the instructions for like number of walls, infill, so on and so forth, and started printing the parts out on my CR6 SE, which, as some of you might know, is pretty much the only working 3D printer I have. So as I started printing them out, I'm looking at these and going, these are some really nice pieces. And I was looking at them. I pulled up Sean's old plans off of gbfans.com because his old hand-drawn or sketched out and all that, using his experience as a storyboard artist and an animator, his old Proton Pack plans were up there, and I was kind of checking the measurements on the pieces I printed versus the measurements he had up there, and they were really close. So I was really happy with this. And this past weekend, I finally got almost all the pieces printed out. In fact, Monday morning, I pulled the final piece off for the bumper that goes across the round part on the bottom of the cyclotron. And I had completed printing the actual pack shell. In fact, I've also got some of the little parts like the clippered valves, the elbows. I've got some of the other pieces on order that get screwed in there. But it's, when you look at it, it's like I'm finally getting a Proton Pack back. And I've had a few people asking me about it, so I figured I'd go ahead and spend this stream this evening going through some of the parts, how long they took, some of the parts I had issues with, If people pop in and want to say hi in the chat, I've got it open. Feel free to say hi. But I'm just kind of going to go through all this. It's not a PowerPoint. My brain's been a little this past week or so, but it was at least able to focus enough to get some pictures and for me to put some notes in, but not enough to do a PowerPoint presentation. It's not going to be that structured. But I've still got some information I'm going to put out there, and who knows, I might go ahead and do some quick sloppy editing on this and throw it up on my YouTube channel or something like that. Lord knows. Yeah, it's like not like I've ever really done anything with that anyway. But we are already about 5 minutes in, and I haven't even started showing any of the pack yet. So let's go ahead, get my phone unlocked here that has my notes on it. And as I said, what we have here on the first picture, this is my workshop. Let's ignore the here in the corner some of the other projects I've got being worked on right now. Next Generation Phaser 2, Star Trek Assault Phaser. Right there's a phaser rifle I posted pictures of up on Instagram earlier today for Trek Tuesday. But zoom back out. Right here we have the shell and the wand instructions that you can download off of his Etsy store. If I do put this up on YouTube, there will be a link to that in the description. AKA, I'm probably going to go ahead and put this up on YouTube, so there will be a link for this in the description. And so this is, I went ahead, I got the PDFs. I went ahead and printed them out because I am old and I like physical copies. Put them in, I've just happened to have a bunch of these folders with the, that you can, you know, put the stuff in there with a 3-hole punch. And like I said, once again, I'm old. This is the sort of thing I'm prepared to do. And so this is what I've been following as I've been putting this together. So what we have, we're going to start off with the synchronous generator, I believe is what it's called. It's the main circular base on the bottom of the pack. And right here is the first part. This took about 17 hours and 38 minutes. This is printed out off of eSun PLA Plus Gray because it's what I happen to have on the printer, and I just went ahead and used the rest of it for these first few parts. So then we start going around to the actual circular part. You can see here where things will start keying together. They've got some pre-drilled or preset holes to be able to put pieces together. Really, you can see like right in there how some of that goes. And we'll zoom that back out. This was part number 2, took about 13 hours and 52 minutes. And it was really cool because you printed it on this side and you only need a little bit of support, and it's easier to see on this next one. A little bit of support right here on the but right there on top of those words, those little blocks right there. Unfortunately, I'm pointing with my mouse and I realize my mouse isn't showing because I'm only sharing the video, the photo window, because I am smart and I know what I'm doing. But anyway, going on to this third piece, that was an additional 15 hours and 8 minutes. As we start closing up the circle, we added in another, let's see, I think this was the number 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was another 14 hours and 2 minutes. And then we start going into the eSun PLA Plus in black. Because I'm building a proton pack, it should be black when you're looking at it. That's the color the pack's worth. So that's why when I started buying more filaments specifically for this project, that's what I got. So when we went on to this part, there was another 14 hours, 52 minutes. Then we're going to bump ahead to one of the last pieces that was printed, but honestly, when you're looking at a breakdown, it just makes sense to put them next. And that's the bottom 2 parts, pardon my gut, that's the bottom 2 parts for the cyclotron. These are the bits where the red light goes around, and down there in the corner is that little cap that in the video game steam would come out of if you ran your proton, your neutrino wand, particle thrower, whatever, too long. And these pieces right here are, let's see now, cyclotron 2 was the one with the chunk out of it, and cyclotron 3 is the other one, and those were 11 hours 32 minutes and 12 hours and 56 minutes respectively. Now, as I was printing this, occasionally when you're 3D printing, you're going to have some problems. You're going to have some failures. Things will come unstuck from the bed, or a support will fail or something like that. That was one of the issues I had on number 2, the one with the chunk out for the end filter. I have an old build plate on my CR6. I have a Wham Bam plate that I need to install on it, but I haven't installed it yet. So the glass is starting to lose its adhesive properties. I occasionally need to hit it with some Aquanet. Especially when I shave my head, I really get the weird looks when I go in to buy Aquanet. But I had not done it on this one, so about a couple hours into it, I took a look, and the edge had started lifting up, and as it was printing, it was just being dragged around by the nozzle. So I stopped it, cleaned the bed, hit it with some Aquanet, started again, and obviously came out fine. One thing that's really funny about these bits, though, is you have to be careful which one goes where. On the inside of each one, there's a circle with a piece of pie, and the top right one has a pie piece right here, the bottom one has a pie piece right here, the third one has a pie piece right here, and the fourth one has one right here. Because if you look, and it'll be a little clearer when I show the next one, if you look, the 2 holes where the red lenses go on this one are closer together than the 2 holes here. And so this was the cyclotron 1 and the cyclotron 4, 13 hours 29 minutes and 14 hours and 1 minute respectively, once again using the CR6. And I mean, yeah, I know they're really sloppy. It's kind of hard to put them together when they're not all bolted together, but you can kind of see how the bottom 2 holes are close together and the top 2 are like this. So you want to make sure you're not getting them mixed up, or your pack is going to be really jacked up, even more jacked up than the weird foam ones that when you watch them at the top of the building as they're battling Gozer, they lean back and the ion arm just kind of bends because it's foam. But anyway, real quick, I've got some notifications. That's Liz's Knox, the bus account, that's that. Shang-Chi Hot Toys announced. Yeah, heard it here. No big deal. Let's see. But going on about these is really interesting because not many of these required support material, but these needed supports around the holes for the cyclotron lenses because it couldn't just bounce over those. So I had to add a little bit of support material there. But even with that, number 4 did have a failure. Some of the supports, one of the bits that holds it up in the center actually got knocked off the print bed, and so I had failures. So at like 92%, many hours into it, I had to stop the print, chuck it, and start it again. Kind of bummed me out because that was on Friday. I was hoping to bring it over to a friend's house Friday night to show them a mostly complete pack shell, and because of that I didn't have the entire cyclotron. So, but que sera, whatever it will be. So right there we've got pretty much the entire bottom of the pack, except for the bumper. This is printed in 2 pieces. It's bumper 1, and you can see where it's keyed in. Bumper 2 had a little bit of print issues with one of the piece that the other piece slides into, but honestly, I'm going to glue it together. I'm going to smack it with body filler, and it's all going to be glued together and puttied and bondoed and filled and sanded until it's smooth anyway. And then it's going to have that bellows silver piece on top of it, blocking most of it as it is. So, but these took 12 hours, 22 minutes and 12 hours and 40 minutes respectively. These did require support. I actually printed them kind of in the orientation that you see me holding them in. So there's support material holding up the bottom, and yeah, so not much more to say there, but that goes right across the pack there. And then finally, to finish out the bottom, we have the end filter. Once again, this is what I was talking about, that if you played the video games, you ran your particle thrower too long, steam would vent out of. There was a file version that allowed me to print this as part of Cyclotron 2. I went ahead and printed it separate to make it a little bit easier to clean, to get parts into. No, I'm not going to make it vent, but also get the fake weld around the outside. So I went ahead and printed it as a separate piece. Took about 9 hours, 29 minutes. Plus it meant I could print it upside down so the very top of it was smooth, and was able to move on from there. Next up, we are looking at some of the center cover pieces that honestly aren't that impressive, but are part of the pack. Right there, we've got center cover 2, cover plate, took 5 hours, 52 minutes. Just goes right there along the edge of the synchronous generator. This goes over the other side of the generator and around the circle that is center cover number 3 at 6 hours, 14 minutes. And then finally, we got the piece that actually will have some stuff coming out of it. That is the first center cover 01, 13 hours, 36 minutes. And it was another one of the pieces that was printed upside down. So that smooth bit was up against the build plate. You can kind of see on the bottom left corner down there that lifted up a little bit. Once again, adhesion issues. I'm going to be doing a second one of these to help a friend out, and you know, hopefully by that point I'll have put the Wham Bam build plate on and things will be sticking better. So that's the center cover. Like I said, it wasn't anything real impressive. I'm printing them out going, yeah, I mean, I recognize these pieces, but it's still not looking like a Proton Pack. Then I started getting into some of these pieces. This one is known as Booster Box EDA-01. It was a long print at 32 hours and 58 minutes, but it required no support once more. And you can kind of see inside the hole right there where some of the filament is a little bit loose, but a lot of that is on the inside. It doesn't affect the durability, and nobody's going to be able to see it. Nobody's going to be, hey, you're wearing a pack. Can we take it apart and inspect the inside? I mean, if they are going to be like that, it's like, no. Crazy? No, go away. So it's not that big of a deal. So this was a nice big piece that really started helping it feel like a pack. Same with this one right here. This is the piece that the Proton, the positron, the particle thrower. Words are hard, especially when it's been a really long day. I need to start doing these like 7 instead of 8. I'm a little bit more awake. But this is a part that the particle thrower, the neutrino wand, will attach to. It took about 20 hours and 5 minutes to print. It could have gone a little bit faster, but I used a little bit more infill to make it a little bit more solid, because once again, there's going to be the weight of that V hook and the gun. Oh, hey, how's it going? That V hook and that gun. I hope you have sound this time, because I don't have time to talk. But that's where all that stuff's going to be hanging, so it needs to have a little bit more weight to it. So that's down here on the side, along with another exciting piece. It's just a simple corner plate. Once again, a real quick print in comparison, 3 hours, 18 minutes, and it's just a plate that another piece goes on top of. I know, it's exciting. So, but that goes right there. Then we've got the crank box. This is what's going to have the little crank knob at the top of it. It's going to have the tube going in the right hand side there. This was a 59 hour and 56 minute print, and I didn't do anything more than the standard. I want to say no time to type. Everything might make a video. Don't know. So, but this piece, like I said, it's a nice big piece that definitely, when you put it down, does make it start looking more like a pack. So, after the crank generator, okay, cool, you can hear me. Awesome. That makes me feel a little bit better. So, Next up, after that, we have the second part for the booster box, and this is another not real exciting piece. It's something that exists to put other pieces on. But 22 hours, 17 minutes to get it printed. So most of these, I would get up in the morning, pop the old piece off the printer, start a new piece, get to work, go about my day, and it'd probably end around 2, 3 a.m. And I just wake up, when I get up the next morning, take my shower when I come down, start my coffee, come in, pop the piece off, start the next print, go in, get my coffee and breakfast around, come in, get to work. Just that was, for the month of August, that has kind of been my morning routine is come in, pop off another piece from the 3D printer and go about my day. So after that, we have the power cell. This is the part that has the blue bar that the light goes up and down. If you're looking at Ray's pack on the original Ghostbusters at the very beginning, the paint wore off those top 2 cubes, so it looked like the light was going through. I'm not doing that. Honestly, I thought about if I still had some clear filament, I was going to print that out of clear filament, paint it black, and mark those 2 bits off, but I just wasn't that dedicated. Especially when this took about 25 hours, 35 minutes. Once again, no support needed. This has what was known as a sacrificial layer. So to be able to have this open bit right here, and if you kind of zoom in a little bit, you can see the filament that's still there because I haven't cleaned it all the way out. It did a single layer of filament across this hole. So that way it can continue printing on top of that. And then when it's done printing, you pull it off, you just take a knife, you cut that filament layer off, and bam, it's built. The inside is not filled with support material for you to clean out. You're not wasting a bunch of filament, and I am impressed with the way that these files are made. I have not ran across any of that stuff before. Guessing there will be LED soundboards, maybe even Salt Mall fog machine. 2/3 of that, yes. I do have the light and sound kit from GB Fans on order. They are on back order, but since this isn't something I'm rushing through, I'm not too concerned about that. But it's going to have a soundboard. It's going to have lights on the neutrino wand. It is going to have the circling cyclotron lights, the blue light bar here. So yes, it's not going to be over the top. I want it to be close to what I remember seeing at Skyview Drive-In back in 1984 when I initially saw Ghostbusters at the theater. I want it to be similar to what, as a kid, I saw on the screen. So stuff like the fog machine was not part of that. It was part of the video game packs. And sorry, I need to get a drink of water. 1 second. Sorry about that. I don't normally talk this much. But I am going to, when I work on the Ghost Trap, that will have a small fog machine. I believe the plans actually use an e-cig. So I want to do that with the Ghost Trap, but it's not something I'm planning on doing with the Proton Pack. So before I move on, another piece that's not really easily seen on here, you can see right here on the bottom, those 2 round circles, that is the words. Those are the plugs to hold the injectors that hang off the bottom of this box. It's a separate piece that took about, did I write down? Because it wasn't even that long of a print. It was like maybe 2 hours. Did not take much filament at all. And yeah, the e-cigs work really well. And the funny thing is you can get marshmallow scented vape juice. So that, you got the whole Stay Puft thing going on. But those just plug into the bottom of there and they help hold and support the injectors, which, let me zoom back out. Those are going to be the next piece I show. And these I printed a little bit more solid because, face it, it's something hanging off the pack. It's something that very easily could get snagged and snap. So these took 28 hours of 45 minutes to print because I bumped it up to like 50% infill instead of the standard 25%, which normally is pretty strong. I mean, using the gyroid infill, it's normally pretty good, but I wanted to be a little bit more. So those will go on right there. Next up, we have some of the bits that, tubing and all that attaches to. This is the beam line, and 4 hours and 56 minutes. And then also have the filler plug, 6 hours and 1 minute. They'll have tubes coming out, little brass elbows, stuff like that. It's bits that have details coming off of it that really make the pack the pack. So next up, we've got the booster tube. This is actually a two-part piece. If you kind of zoom in here, and it's even kind of hard to see the seam line. I think it's like, yeah, seam line's right here in the center. And it's two parts. It has keys. It helps it keep together, keep it so you know exactly how it goes. So this way you don't have to print this tall, long tube. And that was 9 hours, 21 minutes and 13 hours, 27 minutes, respectively, top and bottom. I admit, when I initially built this out of the fiberglass and the resin back in 2000, started in 2002, ended, I want to say, in 2006. I used a piece of PVC tube with a plug in the top to make up for it. I probably could have done that here, but I had the file and I didn't want to go to Lowe's. So there we go. And that just lays in right there. Next up is the HGA at 6 hours, 52 minutes. This is what goes on the corner plate in that top corner. Kind of see it right there. Next we have what were called the nipple flats. I just call these the discs. That was the file they're named, though, because there was a flat version, there was a curved version, and then there was a version that actually had another disc in the center. But, they look like nipples. These took about 29 minutes each. Like I said, there's 3 variations, but I'm just kind of going off of what Ray's pack looked like in the first movie, which is very simple. Took that, doesn't require any of the extra L brackets or anything like that. So I just went with the simple flat discs there. So those go right there on the top. And this is also what was taking up the last of the gray filament. It's like, okay, I've got a little bit left on the roll. Let's do these. I also did these pieces right here. This is the piece that has the clippered valve that goes on it that you might have seen in some of the pictures on Instagram. Oh, it's looking forward to seeing the project making progress. At this point, it's kind of going to be paused. I've got some other stuff I need to get done. I've got the Robotech helmet that I need to complete for VoltCon, which is third weekend in October, I want to say, somewhere in there. But I'm doing a Robotech helmet for them for their charity auction, because the one I really rushed through for last year, they really enjoyed. So I'm going to take my time, make a better one, and offer that up for their charity. And then I've got some other projects that I've really been looking forward to making even more than this, that are sitting down in pieces in my basement waiting for me to work on them. Things like the next generation Type 3 phaser rifle, the pulse rifle resin kits. A lot of these things I've already posted up on social media. I need to get my resistance pilot costume put back together and ready to go for a Monumental Marathon cheering section event in November. I want to get a pistol ready for that. So this is a long-term project. And as you'll see when I get towards the end of the slideshow, this is currently in a box. And as parts come in, if it's electronics, are staying up here. If it's just pack parts, it's going in the box down in the basement. And it's staying there, so when I finally have the opportunity to work on it, then I have everything. I can start sanding, I can start filling, I can start gluing, I can start drilling. I can just know that I have everything ready to go. I'm not going to start on something that I have to wait a month and a half for parts to come in. And I get it going again, and I have to wait another month for more parts to come in. That is my goal here. So I'm going to get this printed. I'm going to get the wand printed, and got the files to actually make the wands. So, it's a make them hard. You hit the switch and the nozzle pops out the end, and it's going to have the lights and the sound on that. So I'm going to get that taken care of. I'm going to be doing the Sean Charlesworth Count Spatula Ghost Trap, which is kind of an amalgamation of the traps from 1 and 2, but it's also got all the stuff that you can get it where you step on the trap pedal, the doors open up, it makes the lights and the sound, smoke comes out like you've caught a ghost. It's just a really... You see a lot of replicators talking about how it's not perfect or anything like that. I don't care. It looks cool. That's the one I want to make. Then I'm also going to do the goggles that Ray wore in the first film, because I've kind of wanted the ecto goggles. And I've already got a PKE meter, the Maddie collector one that came out, Lord knows how many years ago. That's really, really nice. But I'm probably not even going to need that for my costume, because if I'm replicating Ray, he never carried the PKE meter. So, oh, and yeah, 3D printing has really changed the game for props. You are so right. There's extra work, and it's not the easiest thing to get off the ground. I mean, as you can tell that I've got over there on the other side of this monitor, I've got 4 printers. None of them are running right now because the microphone picks them up, and if I didn't need to run them tonight, I wasn't going to. No promises on Thursday. But out of 4 printers, I've only got 1 that works. And it's not necessarily that they're bad. It's just I am not smart enough yet to figure out why they're not working. So try this. That doesn't work. Let's search around. Try this. That didn't work. I'm going to find it. I'm going to figure out why they're not working. But in the meantime, I've got 3 paperweights and a working printer. So, but anyway, moving off of that rant, moving on. This piece right here that holds the clippered valve took about 4 hours, 18 minutes. Goes just right here. This piece holds some of the 3/4 split wire loom that goes to the crank generator. And that piece took 4 hours, 22 minutes. Now this was another one of the failures I had. I've heard they have a big learning curve. That is an understatement. Unless you're you got a good engineering mind. Yeah, it does take some work and some research. You can't just pop open a printer and expect to start, printing a full set of Mandalorian armor or Iron Man armor. Says the guy that one of my next big projects is going to be the Paz Vizsla heavy infantry Mandalorian. The big guy with the big gun and the jetpack that kept fighting Mando. But this piece, like I said, was one of the quote unquote failures I had, because when I went to remove it off the bed, I had just put some of the adhesive on it and it was sticking a little too well, and I snapped it in half. So I just resliced it, made it a little, added a little bit more infill to it, printed it again. It was like a 4 hour, 22 minute print. So under 5 hours, that was fine. But yeah, that goes right here. This right here is what is known as the PPD. Don't ask me what it stands for. I am not that big of a Ghostbusters fan. But this goes on the side of the box right there beside the booster tube. And it's something that another piece of pneumatic tubing will stick out of. This right here, couldn't get a really good shot of it by itself, but this is what's known as the ion arm. It's a 2-piece. This goes in the upper left corner. And there will be brass rods coming out of the top and the bottom of it, and there's be resistors put on the side. The top piece, that's a small rectangle, I might replace that with metal, because I'm going to be getting a kit that has the parts I need for it anyway, and it comes with the metal block, so I might as well just add the metal block to it. It makes it easier to weather and look pretty. So... But let's see, moving on, we are getting to the end here. As you can tell, it is definitely looking like a Ghostbusters Proton Pack, even with the gray bits. This is what is known as the booster frame. They called it the Type 2 bit. Now, almost everything was ran at about a 0.2 millimeter layer height, standard speed. This I ran at about a 0.12 millimeter layer height at about half speed. Because if you notice, it's got some detail on it. This right here, if you look, and it's kind of difficult to tell, but this is actually a pencil. And I'm not sure how well it'll show up on camera. This is a Dixon Ticonderoga. And I know it's blurry. I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to get a webcam to focus on stuff. But this pencil, this is the kind of pencil they use to make these. And so they've got that Ticonderoga down the side. So I printed it slow, so that part would show. I mean, I could have printed a version that didn't have that at all and just added the pencils, but I've only got one left out of my box of Ticonderogas, so I didn't want to mess with it. So that piece goes right on top of the booster tube, and there we have a proton pack. So this is one that popped up on social media. This is a little bit better lighting. The pack on my dining room table shows some of the extra pieces that are going to go on it. Like right here is the clippered pneumatic valve that goes right there. This is one of the clippered brass fittings that goes on the top of this. And what's funny is the maker of this pack actually put everything together so that all these bits could be 3D printed, either filament or resin, however you wanted to do it. And then you painted the brass or so on and so forth. But that also means that the holes to be able to attach this just use small screws instead of the huge bits here. So I'm going to have to drill into this, and I might have to print it again, because at the lower, I didn't think about this when I initially printed it, at the lower infill, it might not hold the piece as well as if it had a higher infill. So the infill is what goes and fills the bit in between the walls, so it might not take as much material, or it could take a ton of material, just depends. So I can't remember how much infill I used on this, so it's just, I'm gonna throw the dice, try drilling into it, put that in. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, what, I think I said that piece was what, 9 hours? If that, just print another one. Heck. But let's see. Couple other shots I got of the pack. You know, here's one more from the top. I think I got more of a side angle here where you can see the ion arm and how the piece sits on top of it there. You can see better a lot of the extra filament from that sacrificial layer on the box there. And yeah, it's it's a frackin' proton pack. Off my little printer, I just printed a proton pack. So yeah, so as I was saying though, finally, last shot I've got here is the box that everything is currently in. Once again, this is holding all the stuff. That's not going to matter if it's in the slightly damp basement, because, you know, I'm not saying the basement has standing water in it, but it is a over 100-year-old house. It does have a very damp, moist, I refer to it as the murder basement, because it's rough concrete floor, native timber ceilings. It's got a coal cellar. You go to one of the room I'm in right now is a later addition to the house. There's actually a cistern under the floor, and you can lift a hatch and look under the floor and see the cistern, and you know that there's a clown in there. So it's a kind of creepy basement. It's the kind of basement I wouldn't want to go into when I was a kid and I was scared of everything. But it's got some good workshop space for me, and I've got a lot of storage space down there, so I use these plastic totes, and if it's something that's not cloth, I can go ahead and store it. Now, any of the electronic pieces I've got coming in, or I've got some decals coming in from one of the licensed vendors, Max Factory, those are going to be kept up here in the office because it's a little bit better climate control, things like that. But these 3D printed parts that mainly warp up when they're in heat, it's not hot down there. I mean, the heating system, the heating and cooling system isn't the best, so everything leaks out into the basement, makes it comfortable. Doesn't matter if it's in the summer or the winter. So they're going to be just fine down there. So I'm doing that, and as more pieces come in, I'm just going to throw them in the box. Once I've got the neutrino wand printed, I've got, if you look in the bottom here, I've got I've got a couple right here. These boxes are like $2 to $3 each. They're plastic shoe boxes, Sterilites, and these work great for holding my kits. As long as it's a smaller piece, like a Star Wars prop. Let me turn around here. Something like the black hole blaster here. All these pieces, when I was building it, fit in a box like that, so I was able to just put them all in there for storage. And so I've got just a bunch of those down in the basement, so I'm just going to take an empty one of those, and as the particle thrower gets built or gets printed, take it, throw it in there, and put it with this box, and ready to go. The ghost trap, that might have some pieces that are a little bit longer than the box, so I might have to go a next size up. No big deal, because even when I'm done, building whatever's in it, I just put the box off to the side because I can print these almost faster than I can build them. So I'm always going to have, even with only one printer running, I'm always going to have extra bits, extra kits that I'm always going to be working on. So none of these cases are going to waste. So let's see, with that, I want to say that is the last photo I've got out of this batch. So what's really funny is then you go back here and just start doing this. And everything just starts disappearing. And then if you saw the animated GIF that I was using to kind of promote this stream tonight, then you just start doing this real quick. Yes, I am easily entertained. This is the exciting content you will find on my Twitch streams. So yeah, if I had 4 printers running, I'd have more work than I could handle. You are not wrong, but if I also had 4 printers running, I'd like to think that I'd be more motivated to work on stuff, because right now it's like I've got all this stuff I want to make, but I can't because things aren't running. I've got files ready. I've got Voltron helmets. I've got Voltron armor that I really wanted to put together for VoltCon this year. And unless I get these printers running in the next week, I'm not going to be able to get those printed and finished in time for the convention. Especially since the second week of October, we are taking a family trip down to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. My parents have a timeshare down there. I didn't get suckered into it. It's all them. And even if things are bad Delta variant wise, mask up, do a little bit of shopping, drop a lot of money on alcohol and mason jars. And then spend the rest of the time hiking in the mountains or just relaxing around the house, the apartment, things like that. And but because it's kind of a shared area, it's not the sort of thing that I can bring things I need to sand or anything like that and work on like out on the balcony, because the downstairs neighbors will probably have issues with that. So I really can't work on stuff while I'm there. Plus I'm not going to pack up stuff, drive it all the way down to Tennessee with the food that we're packing with us and our clothes, and then having to pack it back up with any souvenirs I got or anything like that. So, I got to, once again, I've got to have that room for a moonshine. But I sound like I'm an alcohol, and I've still got stuff left over from our trip last October because we just go through it so slow. Didn't you tell me that last time I was down in Pigeon Forge? I know somebody did, because that rings a bell. So, but yeah. Anyway, see, that's what I thought. But going back to, what I was saying, if I had all the printers running, I might be more motivated to work on stuff, because then I'd have like that full suit of Voltron armor. I'm like, yes, I need to get this done in time. No, I didn't want to go out anywhere because everybody was not wearing masks, and we were still in the midst of, wave 1, and things were bad. So, and things are going to be bad again if, Tennessee, where they're, that's one of the states where they're really fighting mask mandates. I might not be going out that much. I might not even I like going to Smoky Mountain Knife Works because I like sharp objects. And I was not very comfortable there last year, and I'm not sure how I'm going to feel this year. So, but anyway, I'm hoping to get them all running eventually, because I do, like I said, even if I don't get stuff done for VoltCon, I do have Mass Effect armor that I want to make. I want to do some of that Mandalorian heavy infantry armor and put together that whole costume, because it's not, you see a lot of Boba Fett's, you see a lot of Mandalorians, Ginger and whatever. It's been a while since I've seen the show. You see a lot of them, but you don't see many of the bigger, because I don't think anybody wants to mess with that huge jetpack and rifle. And I'm just like, challenge accepted. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but challenge accepted. And, once I'm done with that, then I can use these larger printers to print like Vincent from the Black Hole. And, if you don't know who Vincent is, one second.
Where's that? No, it's another one.
Vincent from the Black Hole. So it's one of the most boring science fiction movies out there, but dang it, the design of Vincent and Old Bob and Maximilian and like the blaster that I showed off that's right here, I love those. Yes, you are. Sorry, yeah, Vincent's, I'm Vincent, but anyway. And yeah, I did not make the connection. I was not doing that just for you. I mean, I knew it was you, but I didn't. You know what I mean? I'm going on one of my own little tangents here. But yeah, it's, I could be printing out one of these. I could be printing out R5D4 from Star Wars. There's, I think Michael Baddeley, I believe is the gentleman's name, does all these files to build your own astromech droids, or, I think he's doing sand crawlers now and like little Funko Pop versions of the droids, and just really active community of 3D printed droid builders. I could be doing stuff like that. Instead, I'm working off the smaller printer, and I'm able to do stuff like Han Solo blaster, the Cygnus blaster from Black Holes, phasers from Star Trek, a Proton Pack, things like that. So, I mean, I'm not complaining. I've got some cool stuff, but I mean, give me a larger printer running, and I've got A-wing helmet files. I got B-wing helmet files. I got Y-wing helmet files. I've already got a kit for an X-wing helmet. But all these Star Wars bits that I've always wanted, and I will start running out of wall space for hangers to hang this stuff up. So it's a goal. It's something I'm going to be working on, but I'm kind of rambling now. So I think at this point, I'm not going to stop the stream, but I'm going to say this is a point that I am going to, if I do decide to edit this as a video, which right now I'm feeling like it, tomorrow morning, who knows? But if I do decide to edit this as a video, this is the point where I'm going to say, anything I've talked about here in terms of the files I've used for this Proton Pack, the information on where to get the instructions, the Facebook groups, all that's going to be in the information down below. And I'm not going to tell you to like and subscribe and all that, because it's probably going to be another 3 years before I put another video up. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and continue the stream, but we're going to call it quits on the Proton Pack. So anyway,